She's in a hard place for herself. She either has to disappoint Trump, which obviously is difficult for her, or she has to make a decision that supports Trump.
Concerned by the substance of any of these motions that have been filed by Donald Trump's attorneys. And I think Ken's overview gives us a sense of what the real problem is.
Republicans are masters of the conspiracy theory, especially when it comes to Trump supporters, and they can conjure them up at will. Although these theories may not have much of an effect on politics, they cause more problems when it comes to proving a point in a court of law, Glenn went on. And these motions actually have very little legal or evidential support. The issue is that Judge Cannon is delaying setting a trial date and entertaining everyone nonstop. The issue arises because in the absence of a trial date, there would be no need to establish any interim deadlines for resolving these motions in the lead-up to the trial. Delay seems to be the main objective. However, to give you a quick overview of the motion that is currently being argued, it is referred to as a spoliation motion because the claim is that when they opened all of these boxes, they did not specifically state that a classified document was nestled next to a golf shirt, a newspaper clipping with a picture of Donald Trump, military attack plans on foreign countries, or any other combination of these. Consequently, you have obliterated evidence that cleared you. You know, that kind of argument is absurd. At least that's the legal term I would use. The FBI took note of the box where they discovered it and recorded it. They took a look at it and recorded its appearance. There isn't a trial date scheduled for the lawsuit involving sensitive materials against former President Donald Trump, and none seems to be forthcoming. Judge Aileen Cannon has not accelerated the procedures. Rather, she has devoted a significant amount of court time to answering defense motions, which are perceived by legal experts as long-shot attempts to drop charges, exclude evidence, or weaken the prosecution.
The Christmas ornament in the exact spot, you know, with the golf shirt and the classified documents, like,
again, there's
moved around.
Right,
like,
but there's no standard for that. I don't even understand what the legal argument is.
An op-ed about how the documents case is crawling along, about how questions about Aileen Cannon.
In Fort Pierce, Florida, Judge Cannon's courtroom will host another important hearing. The main question will be whether Jack Smith's appointment as special counsel was lawful. This line of reasoning is reminiscent of earlier fruitless attempts to cast doubt on the qualifications of special counsels Robert Mueller and David Weiss, who looked into Trump's ties to Russia and Hunter Biden, respectively. A defense issue concerning the funding of special counsel Jack Smith's office is set to be heard by Judge Aileen Cannon. Previous courts have repeatedly dismissed this line of reasoning. She will also discuss whether a D.C. court erred in allowing Trump's counsel to testify under the attorney-client privileges crime-fraud exception. Some experts in criminal law argue that these kinds of motions usually wouldn't need drawn-out hearings and could have been decided by looking at the parties' pleadings and making a decision. Judge Cannon has nevertheless chosen to give these defense attorneys a lot of court time. Judge Aileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, seems to be in line with Trump's plan to postpone the trial until after the election by demanding lengthy court sessions for almost all of the disputes. Legal experts have criticized her conduct despite her claims to be upholding justice. Former U.S. Attorney and MSNBC legal analyst Joyce Vance said Judge Cannon puts motions on her docket and delays for an excessive amount of time, motions that other judges would decide routinely and quickly. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. The fact that Cannon has given outside parties permission to claim that special counsel Jack Smith's appointment is unlawful is especially rare in the eyes of experts. Former U.S. Attorney John Fishwick said, "It's quite uncommon to bring in an amicus. That is never the case." Judge Aileen Cannon's handling of the case involving confidential documents was questioned by retired federal judge Shira Scheindlin, who spent 22 years serving in New York City. She particularly took issue with Cannon's decision to allow outside parties to offer arguments. Letting outsiders enter and present their case is pointless.
She only participated on trial teams in 4 criminal trials, and since she's been on the bench as a federal judge, she's actually only presided, Aaron, over a handful of criminal trials.
This totally wins my case, you know. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this. You attack.
Sheindlin asserted that they had no legal claim to be heard. Given that Jack Smith is the only recent special counsel who has not been confirmed by the Senate, it may be permissible for Trump's attorneys to dispute briefly against his appointment. However, Sheindlin stressed that this does not excuse the protracted delays. She feels that by not advancing the case more swiftly, Cannon has handled it improperly. Judge Aileen Cannon was criticized by Sheindlin for needless delays in the case involving sensitive documents. She brings everything up. She's moving really slowly and prolonging the process. Jack Smith had two options. First, he could make a move to recuse, citing federal legislation that states judges should step aside if their impartiality is fairly questioned. Cannon has been on the federal bench for less than 4 years after being appointed by Trump in 2020, and this is her most well-known case to date. A voicemail requesting comment was left in her chambers. She did not return it. Glenn made the following statement after Judge Cannon's termination. The birthplace of Judge Aileen Cannon is Cali, Colombia. She graduated with honors from Duke University in 2003 and the University of Michigan Law School in 2007 after completing her undergraduate studies there. When Cannon was arbitrarily assigned to manage the legal proceedings surrounding the FBI search warrant for Donald Trump's Florida home, Mar-a-Lago, she first attracted considerable public notice, to the surprise of many legal experts.
But there are some things that Jack Smith can do, and I don't pretend to know what goes on behind the scenes these days at the Department of Justice, having retired after decades there. But I have to believe Jack Smith has some overarching plan.
Two senior federal judges in Florida privately urged Judge Cannon to pass off the case to another judge when it was randomly assigned to her in June 2023.
She approved the request of Trump's attorney to designate a special master to examine the files that the FBI had acquired. Donald Trump's past presidential tenure was referenced by Judge Aileen Cannon as justification for the appointment of a special master to examine the FBIC's documents. But in December 2022, a three-person panel of the Atlanta-based U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit reversed her ruling. The panel harshly chastised Cannon in a 21-page decision, saying that she tried to make a special exemption for Trump, which would go against the fundamental idea of legal equality. With this ruling, Cannon's role in the case came to an end. A judge had to be chosen at random from a tiny pool in the northern region of the Southern District of Florida when Trump was later charged. A panel of 4 judges was chosen, and Cannon was chosen. According to the New York Times, Cannon rejected 2 federal judges' requests that she step down from the case. While one judge urged that the case be conducted closer to Miami, the other judge emphasized the unfavorable optics resulting from the reversal of her special master ruling.
Her experience is slim, and Aaron, it's proving to be somewhat of a major liability.
Could file a motion to recuse, saying that the federal law, which says if a judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, they shall.
A matter of inexperience. She is sitting in a satellite courthouse by herself in Fort Pierce. There is no senior judge to help her along.
Cannon and the prosecutors assigned to the case have clashed multiple times during the proceedings. Her methodical and deliberate approach has frequently left the prosecutors looking frustrated. Cannon became agitated in March when one of the prosecutors pushed her to continue the case. "I can assure you that in the background there is a great deal of judicial work going on," she continued. "So while it may not appear on the surface that anything is happening, there is a ton of work being done." However, experts claim that Cannon hasn't done anything to warrant Smith's request to have her removed from the case. Judge Aileen Cannon has ruled against Donald Trump on significant issues, including his claim that the Presidential Records Act allowed him to consider the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago as his personal records. But it took her several months to make up her mind. She has forced prosecutors to follow all technical guidelines in other cases. Recently, when special counsel Jack Smith filed a motion to stop Trump from falsely claiming that the FBI was authorized to kill him during the Mar-a-Lago search, she blocked the motion, stating that Smith did not sufficiently consult with Trump's lawyers before filing it.
She should never have had a hearing in the first place. It's hard to give her credit because we're now at the stage where Trump's lawyers have thrown so much at the wall to see what would stick. You know, they're now throwing just water.
You need to set a trial date, or else we're going to consider filing what's called a petition for a writ of mandamus in the appeals court and having the appeals court direct you to, in essence, do your job.
The motion has since been refiled and will be among the topics discussed in the upcoming hearings. Most legal experts believe it is unlikely that the case will go to trial before the November election. This means that voters may not know whether a jury finds Trump guilty of endangering national security and obstructing obstructing justice before casting their ballots. This is important information for voters to have, said Joyce Vance. Had she just done her job, we would have had a verdict by now, said Shira Sheeneen. It's a shame. Each new twist in Donald Trump's federal criminal case in Florida underscores growing concerns about the fairness of Judge Aileen Cannon's role. Federal law, under 28 U.S. Code Section 455, stipulates that a judge must disqualify themselves if their impartiality could reasonably be questioned. Share your thoughts about Trump and Judge Cannon in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates on Trump, politics, and legal battles. See you in the next one.